Hello, I'm Chris Newman, and it's time to have a little discussion on the principles of the Treaty of Waitangi. Now, the Treaty of Waitangi was signed in 1840, and we clearly understand that the treaty is a common law, and it's a common law agreement, and it's between the three parties: Queen Victoria, the chiefs and tribes, and all the people of New Zealand. So if it's a common law agreement, it is not a legal contract. It has got nothing to do with lawyers or government. And this is the big problem we have in New Zealand, is the government and the treatyists and the lawyers and people with vested interests are all mixing around in this business and obscuring the truth. And so they are redefining the treaty to suit their agenda. So let's talk about this treaty principles. And this is a key to the business, because if we know what they are, these principles, we've solved an awful lot of problems. So easy to understand. A common law agreement has, under British common law, has got three key principles. Number one, act with honour. Number two, do not foul or have any bad motive. So no foul, which means your motive is clear, there is no hidden agenda. And the third one is you take responsibility for what you do. Take responsibility. Now, that's it. Those are from a simple logical analysis of the fact that it is a common law agreement between people. These are the principles that work on people. Honour, no foul, take responsibility. When the politicians and the lawyers get hold of the treaty and they twist it and change its meaning from its original intention, we end up with a whole lot of stuff that I've got recorded in my book, Fraud, Plunder, Treason in Our Treaty. I'm just going to touch briefly on Lord Cook's invented treaty partnership principles from 1986. He talked about a fiduciary relationship between Crown and Maori. Fiduciary. Now that means financial. It is not a fiduciary relationship. It is not a legal contract. It is not something to do with money and property in exchange. So his principle was it's a commercial contract. How could that be? Second thing, a partnership. But it can't be a partnership because it's not a legal contract. So there are no partnership obligations. There can't be. It's not that sort of an agreement. A third thing, it's a binding legal contract. Binding and legal don't fit because it is not binding. This is actually lawful. It's common law. Lawful. But it's not legal or statute. It's not a statute of government. This Treaty of Waitangi was not invented or written in England by the British Parliament. It was put together in New Zealand by agreement between missionaries, Captain Hobson representing the Queen, and of course there was lots of input from Maori perspective. Here's another one, the acquisition of sovereignty in exchange for the protection of rangatiratanga in a fiduciary contract. Sorry, that doesn't apply either. It was about consent. It was giving lawful consent, but there was absolutely no governmental, executive, statutory, legislated matter here which would relate to asserting sovereignty. That's not the case. Freedom of the Crown to govern. Sorry, that's not there either. It's Queen Victoria, we talked about this in our previous presentation, Queen Victoria, the chiefs and tribes, and the people of New Zealand. Nothing to do with government. Nothing to do with politicians, lawyers, rangatiratanga, any of these other interpretations. It's inviting the people to come together to consent. Later on, we have Queen Victoria issuing her Royal Charter and Letters Patent, which enabled the creation of a government, a legislature in New Zealand, under Australian jurisdiction. So there is, what it is not, has got nothing to do with jurisdiction. Jurisdiction, I think we need to clarify what that means. Jurisdiction, according to the law dictionary, is about the territory where the rules apply of a court, territorial limits within which a court may be exercised, the power of a court. Sorry, that was not established. New Zealand did not yet exist as an entity. New Zealand was islands, and it was populated by chiefs and tribes and some people who were here who were settlers, and Queen Victoria was very interested to invite everybody to accept English law, but that came later. The treaty itself is a common law agreement, so its principles are only common law principles, which are based on natural justice. Let's refer again to our law dictionary. And natural justice, or natural law, is the permanent underlying basis of all law, and it's given to man by nature. And human laws should conform to natural justice. But at that time, in New Zealand, there was only natural law. There was no government law, there was no statutory law, there was no contract, there were no lawyers, none of that happened. So all these people monkeying around, we call them treatyists. The treatyists are making money, political capital out of playing this game of what the treaty is not. So they must be lying to us, or else they're stupid and dumb and don't understand the business. Because the treaty is a common law document. There is no ifs and buts about it. And those who want to turn it into a legal document are twisting the facts, twisting the truth. This is Chris Newman. I want to explain that you can obtain all this information in my book, Fraud, Plunder, Treason and Our Treaty, which is available from newmanpress.com. And in it you will find laid out in much more detail the very facts that we've been talking about here, and which show that the whole matter is almost like a smokescreen or a great fog being smeared around by the media, treatyists, politicians, lawyers, and all these people who monkey around with what is ours and who would try to destroy the unity of our country to support their own interests. Thank you for following this through. Just to reiterate, the Treaty of Waitangi is a common law document. It's a common law agreement. It's based on honour, no foul, taking personal responsibility and giving lawful consent to move forward to eventually form this nation. It is none of these other things. It is not a legal binding contract. Thank you.